I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Gary Rowland, and as it says, I'm the Compliance Training Manager for Greencore, based in Warrington. We are, one of the UK's leading manufacturers of own label products. So if you've ever bought a ready meal, a sandwich, a jar of pickled onions from a supermarket, the chances are it will have been made at one of our sites. And I'm just going to be talking to you today really about the journey we went on at our manufacturing site in Warrington and some of the challenges and successes we've had looking at how we can have a successful training event. Sorry, the screen seems to be lagging slightly. So when I joined the business back in 2017, the site was going through a rebuild and we had quite a number of challenges. We had a brand new delivery of completely new MHE stock that was unfamiliar to the site. The site itself had completely changed. So we had workers who'd worked here previously not knowing where trucks were going to go. We were using two different management systems to manage our fleet of MHE stock. We'd seen an increased pool of operators for the trucks that we were using. There was absolutely no auditing whatsoever. So where we had people who'd maybe been trained 5, 10, 15 years ago on a reach truck, for example, we weren't confident that actually we could find copies of their training records, or in fact that they'd had the correct training in the first place. We were seeing an increasing number of accidents and near misses, and just generally the mismanagement of that training in general was a concern for us, because we were seeing, as I've said, an increasing number of accidents, damage to property, damage to product, and we needed to do something about it. Okay, go to the next slide. What this meant for us was that we could draw a line in the sand, accept that what we'd had wasn't perfect, but introduce a new standard and we would stick to that. At the time, we had a mixture of an in-house trainer and some external training. And what we did was we actually recruited a dedicated MHE instructor, put them through all the relevant training, although they were highly experienced in the first place. We decided to harmonise the fleet management process. So instead of using two management systems, we could use one. And that gave us real visibility and control over our drivers and our stock. We implemented a rigorous auditing procedure, and we reduced the pool of drivers by working with our operations teams to establish what they actually needed in terms of numbers of people who were trained to use this equipment. We were able to improve the skills of the drivers that do operate the trucks. So this wasn't a case anymore of saying, okay, you've been on your training, off you go, and we'll see you again in 3 years' time. We wanted to make sure that the learning process for them was continuous after they left the classroom. We've been able to see a reduction in the number of accidents and near misses, which I'll talk to you about shortly. And we've been able to really work with our stakeholders in supply chain and operations to really bring to life this vision of what for us is a perfect scenario. What that meant for us, and this goes back a bit to Liam's piece earlier of how you establish the training needs. We agreed the standards with the business. How many operators do they need? At what level of training? What kind of trucks are they going to be operating? And were we going to work with an accrediting body? Because up until that point, we'd only issued in-house certification. We agreed a training schedule and set standards for no-shows, cancellations and fails. The training is delivered by our in-house instructor, and they have unannounced observations from myself and other members of the L&D community who come in to ensure that the training that's being delivered is up to our standard. The results and feedback are given to the driver. The fleet management system, the training management system and Acorns are updated the moment that the candidate has found out that they've been successful. The operator is released back into the business, and we establish the refresher training requirements. For us, that means using our fleet management system to ensure that where an operator is eligible for refresher training, if they miss that, they physically won't be able to operate one of the vehicles. It will not allow them to operate that truck if they've not got the right certification and that certification is in date. Now, I know for some of you, this process might seem quite rudimentary, and a lot of you are probably already doing something like this. But for us, none of this was in place. It was very much oh, I need someone training on a truck today, and off they go and have some training. So this for us was really about putting a framework in place that was really going to work for us and for the business. And what that's meant for us, you can see here quite clearly. If you look at the data between January and July 2020, we had 51 high-level impacts. So that is anything where there's been damage to the property, a person, our stock, anything like that. So yeah, 51. In the same time period in 2021, we've been able to reduce that by just over 50%. So we've had so far 24 high-level impacts. Don't get me wrong, 24 is still 24 too many. But to say that we've been able to reduce our impacts by over 50% is a massive achievement for us. And I'm confident that we're probably one of the only sites that would be able to clearly demonstrate using this data the impact that this training system has had for us. So for me, thinking about how you can get this right, and again, to some of you, I understand this might seem quite simplistic or sensible, but for us, this is something we've really had to draw back to every single day, is making sure you've got your data right and utilising the systems that you have. Where you can automate processes and reports, I would do that, because using data helps you to bring a story to life. Using that data is a really easy way of engaging with your stakeholders and getting them on board. Certainly, if you're in a business that is very KPI and very MI driven, then data is the thing that will convince your stakeholders to come along on the journey with you. And get your operators and managers on board. There's an understanding with them that they are equally as responsible for making sure our people are safe as we are in the training and HR functions, or ops manager, duty manager, whatever you might be. Actually, if you're the one utilising that piece of equipment, you need to take responsibility for your safety and the safety of your colleagues. So for me, the three things I would probably want to take away is, if you can use an accrediting body, it's definitely better to do so. An in-house certificate is only valuable to the person whilst they're working for that business. And as a company that's heavily audited, it certainly gives our auditors a lot more confidence when they can see the training that we're delivering is assessed against an external awarding body. And accreditation also allows you to show your colleagues that you're doing something that is recognised and that they can use those skills transferably if they move to another business. So again, it's a benefit to that person. I would always go back to data, because data is the one thing that allows us to make decisions and demonstrate value. It's not an easy process using anecdotal information to try and win when you're trying to convince your senior leadership team to get on board with a piece of delivery. Using data allows you to do that. And certainly for us working with AITT, using Acorns has been a really simple way for us to be able to ensure that our data is managed properly and validate. So as I mentioned earlier, it isn't enough for us to be able to just bring someone into a classroom every 3 years, put them through some training and send them on the way. Competency assessments, behavioural observations and familiarisation training are key. When that learner leaves the classroom, they know that they're going to see either myself or the instructor on a regular basis whilst they're actually doing their job, where we'll just take a stand back and watch what they're doing, feedback to them and their manager on what we think could be improved or what was a success. And that's it from me. Back over to you, Adam.